Now that we've created our basic page, the next step is going to be to add an external style sheet. Quick and easy to do inside of Dreamweaver. I'm going to click anywhere inside the HTML head. Then I'm going to right click and I'm going to click Attach Style Sheet. Now, if I already had a style sheet created, I could browse for it and attach it from wherever it was located. I don't have a style sheet created at this time, so let's look at a fast and easy way to create and attach one all in one swoop. In my right side panels, I'm going to click on CSS Designer. If for some reason it's not available, go into Window, and then you can either click CSS Designer or you can go to Workspace Layout, Reset Standard, and it should return you to a layout format where CSS Designer is available. So now, with CSS Designer clicked, I'm going to click the plus sign to the left of Sources, and then I'm going to select Create a New CSS File. I'm going to name that CSS file project.css, and I'm going to click OK. Now, I need to double check and make sure that ended up in the right place. Most times it does. Occasionally it doesn't, depending on what we've been up to prior to that. So here I see I've created that project CSS. Now I'm going to click on Files to make sure that it landed inside my project folder. And I see that it has. Inside my project folder, I have my index.html page and my new project CSS page. I can see that it's also linked on my, showing up on my page, but it's showing up twice. That's just a little glitch that happens occasionally. Here's how I'm going to get rid of that. File, Save All. Then I'm going to close my HTML page, and then I'll open it again, and it'll be fixed. So now I have just my project CSS attached, and if I click on that, I'll see that it's there, but it's empty. And I'm all ready to begin adding styles to that. So let's go ahead and we'll add one style. We'll add a class for the container. So the way I do that, I'm just going to click anywhere in the container opening tag. I'm going to go to my CSS Designer. I'm going to click on the project CSS style sheet because that's where I want it to end up. Then I'm going to click the plus sign to the left of selectors, and I'll see that it's created a selector for my div with the style name container. I'm going to click Enter, and then it's showing me everything that's available for what I have selected. Let me close this tab group so I can see a little better. Okay, so what I'm going to do is in Layout, I'm going to give my container a width in percents, and I can either type it in or drag it, and I'm going to drag it to about 85%. That's just a starting point. I want to make sure that I don't use any fixed pixels. So my width is 85%. Now I'm going to scroll down a bit to my margins. I want to center this. So the centering trick is to add 0 to the top and bottom. And for the right and left, I'm doing this in sort of a shorthand, auto. If the top and bottom and right and left are the same, I can just make 2 entries, starting with the top and followed by the right, which also indicates the left, and the top will also indicate the bottom. So by saying in shorthand 0 auto, I'm saying 0 margin at the top and the bottom, and automatically divide the real estate that my 85% doesn't take up evenly between the left and the right. Click Enter, and then I'm going to go File, Save All. Now, there are a couple other classes I would like to add to begin with, and I generally do these in the HTML. There are a lot of ways to zero out the margin and padding throughout your page or for most elements so that you have control. I'm just picking a really simple, easy way to do it for this type of page. So I'm going to use the global or universal attribute of asterisk, which means apply it to everything. And my opening and closing brackets, I'm going to hit enter. Then I'm going to start typing M. Margin comes up. Margin 0. Don't need to fix any unit of measure to that. Padding also. Avoiding typos, I always take advantage of the prompts. And then I'm going to add a new little nifty trick. I'm going to select box sizing and then border box across the board. And what this does to all my block elements, this overrides the box model. I used to have to figure out when I adjusted margins and borders and content sizes, I'd have to adjust it so that the percentages would work out and everything would fit. What this does is when you apply box sizing, border box, that everything from the border inside gets automatically averaged. So you can make an aside 40%, as long as you don't have any margins that you're going to add to the left and right. You can make an aside 40% and a main content area 60%. And as you add paddings and borders to both of those, it's going to automatically work itself out by making the content smaller, but you don't have to do the math, so that's pretty awesome. So we've created an external style sheet. We've attached it to our page. Let's go File, Save All. We've made sure it went to the right place. Let's go back and look at our HTML page. And here's where we've added the link to the external style sheet. Now, if we wanted to add internal styles just to this page, we would insert our style element before the head closing tag. And that's if you want to create styles that apply only to the content of this page. I'm going to delete this for right now because I don't need it. But that's where you'd put it if you needed an internal style. And sometimes you do, and it's quite fine to do that. You sort of want to avoid inline styles when at all possible, because aside from sort of defeating the separating presentation from content, it's also really hard to adjust if you need to make changes.